Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. Here's your flash briefing for the week of November 6th. City Council meet for regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers in City Hall. If you can't watch, quickly catch up on City Council meetings by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. The city is hosting an online comment period for the Ward and Purcell's Intersection Improvements Project. The public can view project plans, exhibits, and provide feedback through November 15th. Find a link to the project on our Facebook page. The City of Lee Summit is excited to launch LS Aware, a free alert system designed to keep residents and businesses informed of emergencies and certain non-emergency events. The city can quickly send messages via phone, text, email, and more, depending on the preferences set up by the user. Learn more and sign up at lsaware.net. Calling all elves, the city's Cultural Arts Division is looking for volunteers to help spread some festive cheer downtown by decorating the planters. The decorations will be assembled at City Hall before placing them in the planters. Find a link to sign up on our Facebook page. And join in celebrating veterans on November 11th and honoring those who served during the Korean War. The parade will begin at noon at Lee Summit High School. Find more details about the event and parade route at downtownls.org. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
I'm Assistant Chief Jim Eden.
And I'm Battalion Chief Ben Hicks.
And today we're at Lee Summit Fire Station 3. Fire Station 3 was part of the 2016 no tax increase general obligation bond for public safety initiatives. The station was built and occupied in August of 2020. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we've not been able to give tours or have an actual ribbon cutting. So we want to invite you in today to give you the opportunity to see what goes on within a Lee Summit Fire Department station.
Let's go take a tour. This is our admin side of the facility. We use this side mainly for offices. We have a lot of work during the day, whether it's training or doing reports or just generally taking care of the shift that we need to do. At this particular station, Station 3, we do have an assistant chief that works out of here. That person has their own office where they need to manage what's going on throughout the day with the shift and staffing, and as well as running calls out of here. The captain has their own office as well. What the captain does is at this specific station is in charge of both the fire truck that's here as well as the ambulance. And so with all those personnel responsibilities as well as running calls and reports, that's where they work out of. And generally for the rest of the crew, which is somewhere around 5 to 6 individuals, we have rooms to write reports, and we have additional training rooms and other rooms where people can work. Walking into our living area, I think it's important to recognize that we work 48-hour shifts. So in the evenings, after 5 o'clock, after work is done, we may have the opportunity to catch a game or something else as long as we're not running calls. And this gives us the opportunity to do that. When we go into our kitchen, I think this gives you a great reason to know why we go to the grocery store. When you see fire trucks at the grocery store, what we're doing. Also for 2 days working for 48 hours, we buy all our meals at the grocery store, and then we come in here and cook. Just like you guys do at home. So everybody has their own fridge on each shift as well as their own pantry, and then we cook those meals here. Going into the sleeping side of things, we've got a couple different things that are significant. We have our own laundry room, which again is important when we're here for 48 hours. The opportunity to wash and clean our clothes and bedding is very important for hygiene. And walking into where our beds are, we need to go back and try to make it bigger or better, and that's really important for us. Especially because the old station was so small. Back out on the apparatus floor, we have doors facilitated as many places as possible, so that way when we're sleeping at night and a call comes out, we can make our way out fairly quickly to get out onto the truck if we need to and run a call. On the other side of the station, We kind of have other stuff that we may want to keep separated if we want to. Physical fitness is very important to us as firefighters. So in order to better ourselves and make sure we're as healthy as we can to do this job, we have our own gym facility here that we kind of go throughout the day when we can and get an opportunity to come in and work out. Our goal when we run calls, when we get back to the station after calls, our goal is to get ready to go back as soon as we can to run another call. So we have the opportunity or capability here to fill up our air tanks. You see firefighters wear the big air tanks on their backs, and they use those in a fire. We can come back and fill those up and make sure that we're ready to go again when we're wanting to go run another call. We have our own workshop here. We work on a lot of our tools and making sure that everything's clean and operational, and this gives us the capability to do that, again, to make sure that we have everything we need and we're as capable as we can be running calls throughout the city. Cancer prevention is very important in the fire service right now. Because of that, we have an extractor machine, and what this does is gives us the capability when we come back from a fire, we can put our bunker gear into this machine and get all that really nasty crud off of our gear. Again, kind of getting back to that cancer prevention mode, allowing us to be as clean as we possibly can for the next call. And finally is our bunker gear room. We each have our own individual locker. This gives us the opportunity to store our gear when we're not here working in between shifts, as well as keep a clean extra set on here in case we do run a fire and we need to clean our current gear. Typically, this is where your day starts off at the fire station. You come in and get your gear and put it on wherever you're working that day, and then you end the same way, bringing your stuff back to your locker to go home after working. This is Med 3. This ambulance just currently moved into the station from Station 7. Station 3, since we've had it built, has turned into one of our busiest stations in the city. Therefore, we wanted to provide the best care in the closest unit as we could. So we moved one of our ambulances up, and this became Med 3 for this particular instance. Out of this station, we also have Pumper 3. And that's a fire apparatus that they utilize to run the calls on this west end of the city. The last vehicle that you see is the chief's vehicle. We have 2 shift chiefs on shift every day, and they split the city. And this chief running out of this station typically covers the west and south area of the city, while our chief of Station 2 covers kind of that northeast section of our city, and they divided it up evenly.
Thank you for going on a tour with us today. If you have any other questions about the Lee Summit Fire Department, please go to our webpage at lsfire.net or follow us on Facebook at Lee Summit Fire Department.
Thanks for joining us on the tour.
This month's Council Member Spotlight is all about Mayor Bill Baird. Check it out.
I have always volunteered in the community and I was always really involved, but then I ran for school board. Whenever I got done with my term, I just felt like I had more to give. It's always been my goal from day one is to get everyone in the community connected and working together, and I always called it a spirit of community. Well, Mayor's 24/7 and I have a job. I've had to work really hard at compartmentalizing, is what I call it. So during this time, I'm going to do work. During this time, I'm going to be mayor, even though I can get a call at any moment about mayor stuff. And so I've had to even work that much harder at setting aside time for myself or for family. So I like to exercise, I like to work out. Hillary's my wife. She actually goes to work out with me as well. And we do like to go downtown to the shops. We make sure we maximize our time together. I mean, I've got 2 kids as well, and we spend a lot of time with them, or whatever time they will give us these days. And I have a dog. I think most people kind of know me know I have to have a dog. We have so much development going on, and we're growing fairly quickly, so we have a lot of infrastructure needs, and sometimes we have gaps in infrastructure, and we've always managed to get by, but with this kind of growth, we're really having to be creative and look at our options and just have a good plan for water, sewer, roads, and more. If we want to grow the most healthy way, we need a diverse economy. We do have a lot of retail that's opened up here, and there's been new construction for retail. We really need to focus in the future on bringing some, well-paying jobs here, good, strong employers that want to be located in this this incredible community of now 101,000 people. A lot of our workforce does commute to work still, so they leave Lee Summit to go to work, and it'd be nice if we could keep some of those citizens right here in our community. The times I feel most proud are actually when I'm in the community and I see the community come together.
We have Buddy in the house. Mr. Mayor!
The tree lighting is always very fun. I always feel very proud. It's just a great warm feeling. The same thing goes for when the council will do something and we come together and make a good decision together. There's been a few of those that you go home feeling like a winner. And one of them was when we put together the downtown farmers market, when we bought the land, and it became real, you know, all that hard work. But also the Diversity and Inclusion Commission, that was months and months of discussions and conversations that were really hard to have, and we went ahead and moved forward and as a council all together, and I was very, very proud of that. And there are a few things that the citizens have done that have really helped us tremendously. First, in the middle of a pandemic, they passed a use tax, which is a way for us to collect sales tax whenever someone purchases online. That helps shore up our revenues so that we can continue to provide as high quality services that our city provides. And it helps us take care of our employees, it helps us with our public safety and more. So I can't be more thankful to the citizens for that. Lee Summit has the opportunity to have a major impact on the economy in the Kansas City area. We already, as an economy, are rolling along with such a high median income. We have an amazing workforce here that are paying taxes, they're paying property taxes, they're paying sales taxes, they're keeping our economy rolling, and we really are getting the attention of all our neighbors. And I think that what's going to happen is you're going to see the opportunity for us to really get everybody's attention when businesses start moving here, bigger businesses and more so. You should try to find a way to give back to the community, whether it's at the city level, you know, citizen committees, or just participating in some of our community conversations whenever we have those opportunities. It's worth coming out of your shell or taking, you know, that leap of faith and just showing up and saying, what can I do or how can I help? The more that we do this together, the more wonderful the community is.
Thanks for watching the Lee Summit Rundown. I'm Laura Ingeman. See you next time.
I'd like to call the November 8th Community and Economic Development Committee meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chair Edson.
Here.
Vice Chair Pryor.
Here.
Councilmember Hodges.
Here.
Councilmember Felker.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Arth.
Here.
Thank you. We have the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Chair,
Councilmember Hodges?
I move for the approval of the agenda. Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hodges and a second by Councilmember Pryor to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Could I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Councilmember Felker.
Aye.
Chair Edson.
Aye. Thank you. Do we have any public comments? No? All right. Okay, the first item of business is the approval of the October 11th committee action letter. Could I have a motion, please?
Chair,
Councilmember Felker.
I move for the approval of the October 11th Community and Economic Development Action Letter.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Felker and a second by Councilmember Hodges to approve the October 11th action letter. Any discussion? Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Hodges. Councilmember Felker.
Aye.
Chair Edson.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor.
Aye.
All right, thank you. On to the first presentation, the CDBG 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan Kickoff.
Okay, good evening. I am Sarah Tilbury, and I am the CDBG Administrator for the City of Lee Summit. And tonight we are here to just discuss the kickoff of the Consolidated Plan for 2025-2029. This is just a discussion, so you won't have to be voting on anything later tonight. This is just to make you aware of what will be happening over the next about 18 months. So, to start off, Lee Summit is an entitlement community, and with this designation, we do receive an annual allocation of funding each year from HUD, and that is what funds our CDBG program. To continue administering these funds, we are required to complete several plans, and this includes the Consolidated Plan, the Annual Action Plan, and the Citizen Participation Plan. So the consolidated plan is a 5-year strategic plan, and that is designed to identify the needs within our community, how we can prioritize those needs, and then achieve those needs based on data-driven research from within our own community. Currently, we are in year 4 of our con plan, and that was adopted back in December of 2019. So this is a little visual of how the plans go together. So the consolidated plan is the plan that is over 5 years. And then the action plan is a annual plan, and that is a plan that has specific projects and then budgets associated with each project in order to meet the goals in the con plan. And then the CAPER is a yearly plan that measures the progress and success from the action plan. So they all kind of run together. And then not on this slide, but previously mentioned, was the citizen participation plan. And that is just a plan that sets forth our policies and procedures of how we run the CDBG program. So that is kind of the background. So now going into the con plan. So the con plan is a very detailed 5-year plan that involves a lot of community involvement and public engagement. This includes a community needs assessment and the analysis of impediments to fair housing. With that, we also do a market analysis and a strategic plan that identifies, again, our needs, the conditions, the resources that we anticipate from HUD, and then we use those to identify the goals and strategies back into the con plan. So with that, we start with public participation. That includes focus groups, open houses, surveys. That helps us to identify the needs within our community, how we can reach those, and then establish goals. The consultation, we reach out to surrounding neighboring cities and survey them. We survey our nonprofits and public service agencies. And lastly, we take that, we do the research, assessment, and analysis of the current market trends, our demographics, and then we identify our gaps and unmet needs. So the process of all of this from the previous slide, we set the goals, and then we identify the resources. With that, we draft the plan itself. Farther down the road, that will be on the next slide, but we will have a 30-day public comment period, and that begins at CEDC. That is when you'll be voting, not tonight. Once we get your approval on that, we take it to City Council and then submission to HUD. So this is a very brief timeline. Tonight we are doing our kickoff and public awareness. The process will really kick off more in January, and that is when we will start doing data gathering, researching previous plans, and public participation. Later on, it goes into research and analysis, and then later, July, that is when the drafting of the plan itself will start. So the year 1 action plan is actually included in the consolidated plan, so that will be part of the consolidated plan, and that will come back to you in spring of 2025 for approval. So it's all kind of, it seems very far away, but we're just trying to get it started right now. We did, I think this is my next slide, for this process, we have hired a consultant to help us with the plan, and for that, I'm going to switch it over to Amy, and she can kind of let you know about our consultant.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Kahneman. I'm the Assistant Director of Grants and Administration for Development Services. So every 5 years, a significant workload is placed on cities that receive CDBG funding to kind of shift their resources into developing these plans. So the AI and the comp plan are typically developed by certified planners, and up until a few months ago, we had kind of a hard time filling some of our planning positions. So about a year ago, when the budget process was kicking off, I talked to a few neighboring cities, and several mentioned that they're now using consultants to complete these plans. We have not ever used a consultant to complete it before, but the previous AI took the old assistant director of planning and a planner about 1.5 years to complete. And then the con plan itself took 3 staff members working on it for 4 or 5 months full time to complete. So after receiving quotes from different consultants, there were no more than $60,000, and just kind of felt like this was the most cost-effective approach to get these specialized plans completed so that we're able to continue receiving the CDBG funding. So as a part of the FY24 budget process, $60,000 was approved for hiring an outside consultant to assist with this. We went out to bid in July, and in August, Mosaic was selected based on their experience as well as cost. They came in at $48,500, which is even less expensive than we were anticipating. Mosaic was recently used by KCK to complete their plans, and KCK had really great things to say about them, so I'm excited to be working with them. So Mosaic's going to be responsible for the entire scope of the consolidated plan and the AI, so all project management, community engagement, data collection and analysis, report drafting, as well as the entry of the plan in HUD system. Sarah and I are going to be responsible for making sure that the goals and the needs that come out of the consolidated planning process are achievable, fundable, and align with the broader strategic plan goals for the city. So all of this will come back before CEDC for consideration in March of 2025, and you'll have the opportunity to engage in the process along the way. So Jessica Fish with Mosaic Community Planning will be leading those efforts, and she is on Zoom tonight. We wanted to introduce her to the committee because you'll be seeing her face as well as communications throughout the process. Are there any questions before Jessica gives a quick introduction?
Yeah, hang on, let me find out. Any questions so far from the committee members? Yes, okay. Anybody? Okay, not yet, but I think they're starting to form. I can see it happening.
Okay, if we can switch over to Zoom.
Okay.
AV, could you switch us to Zoom?
Planning efforts, and we're excited to get started on community engagement early next year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about the plans or the process that you all have. Thank you for the introduction, Sarah and Amy.
Jessica, I may have missed it. Where are you located geographically?
So our firm is based in Atlanta, and we kind of have members across the country. So I'm in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. I just like to know things like that.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm waiting to see if some of the committee members jump in with questions. I'm not sure who to address this to. So when we do explain the relationship, I guess, with, and maybe I'm just not clear on that, with the CDBG and Fair Housing Act, because when I think of where we've put CDBG monies before, it's not always related to housing, I don't believe.
It doesn't have to always be related to housing. It has to benefit, so 70% of our annual allocation has to benefit low to moderate income persons.
Okay.
So we're able to distribute that funding out to local nonprofits who are serving those low-income residents.
Okay. So when we're doing this large plan, what are we trying to find out, I guess?
Priority needs are from the community. So we'll identify, impediments that may exist and try and figure out goals and strategies to achieve those. So
is it all related to impediments to housing, or can it be to employment or transportation?
Anything. We usually come up with a pretty lengthy list, and we just try and figure out what can we actually achieve, as well as where are we going to be able to find sources that we're able to fund from this. So where is there interest in the community that we know we'll be able to use the funding toward?
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, committee members, I'm going to give you one more shot. Anybody have anything? I guess you all have done such an excellent job at explaining it that nobody has any questions.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's work on this. I know it's going to take a long time and a lot of work, but I appreciate it. So thank you.
I have
Thank
a
you,
question.
Jessica. We have somebody. Oh, he finally woke up. I have Councilmember Felker.
It was a long night last night. I
Yes.
just wanted to know, and this is for anybody, so the existing consolidated plan, the one that we have presently, I don't see it in the packet, and if that can be provided to the committee at some point, just to see. I mean, I don't know, when I think, what is this? I suppose seeing that as a baseline would be really good.
Can I get the overhead, please? So this is a 2020-2024 consolidated plan, the priority needs that came out of that, and then the progress that we've made, how we've allocated that funding toward those needs. So there were 6 different priority needs that came out of the last plan. So basic needs, residential repairs, mental health, sidewalk improvements, public transit, as well as improved public information. Good visual.
This is a summary sheet, I presume, that the existing kind of fleshed out as to how we established the need, and then what exactly we might be aiming.
Absolutely, it's about a 150-page document. Be happy to send that to you all.
I think that would be good to kind of look at. And so we've had to create those every 5 years.
Every 5 years. As long as the program's been in existence, we'll continue to have to do that. And so, yeah, it's kind of tough to shift all of our resources. We're full-time staff members that have work that we're doing daily, and then all of a sudden these plans come and we're having to kind of refocus our attention on that to create those. So it's helpful to have a consultant to assist us with this because they're very specialized.
So if I can add just a few things. So we have a really great resource available on our website that talks a lot about CDBG as well. Our current consolidated action plan is on there, and the 2018, or actually the annual action plans are on there back to 2018-19, as well as the CAPERS, which are the consolidated annual performance and evaluation reports, are available from 17 through 21. So all of that information is available on the website. It's all very, very public.
Thank you, Mr. Elam.
Oh, yeah, and I believe that we've been an entitlement community since 1993. I believe 96.
So while the upshot of that is we may have plans buried somewhere else, not necessarily online for.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I mean, it shows here just the most recent one. I presume that.
It'd be very easy for us to track down if you'd like to see those as well.
I'm not sure I do. I'm just trying to kind of, I think part of the question and answer is kind of just getting your head around something that I haven't done ever, capacity, nor certainly in your process. And then what I've heard from the earlier is basically for, in the past, you did charge staff with doing it, but there were some specific skill sets that kind of had vacant for a period of time. We've just more or less filled, but we're just anticipating the bandwidth of time this requires given current. At arguably a cheaper price than what the cost of FTE would be. Perhaps the same result, or not the same result, but achieve the result.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of took a look and tried to calculate, and it's probably about $150,000 worth of staff time, because there were several people that were working on it for almost 2 years. Yeah.
And I mean, so part of, I think, the chair's question about location, and this is, okay, you all have been doing it here, where someone can walk in the office and and who's a local nonprofit and talk to their experiences with that specific issue. What kind of, I guess that's a question I would have, is just maintaining that connection that probably have just by way of proximity. Any concerns about that? Have you talked through that with Mosaic to say?
Absolutely. They will be coming in town for some community engagement events. We typically have an open house, and we'll likely have multiple, and that may mean that Sarah and I are staffing those. It's usually just in the evening for a few hours, and we'll send out notice to residents welcoming them to come and share their ideas and their thoughts on this.
Kind of contrast the two modes of getting this done, meaning staff work that you all would have been doing would still likely have been at a desk. So I'm going to my own question about the interaction with still quite a bit of work that you would have been doing at your desk, as opposed to you're out in the community all the time, meeting people. That makes sense to you?
I would say being out in the community is probably a smaller portion of this. The documents themselves are very lengthy. So there's a lot of report writing, GIS, data gathering, things of that nature.
They're going to be able to tap into that in perhaps an easier. You've already done it for a community that's close by, nearby, or there's a data set. Thinking out loud here why this is a good.
They're specialized in this. They're literally just going con plan to con plan, moving around different cities, probably doing multiple at the same time. So they're very experienced in this. They've been doing it for 8 years straight, and they have certified planners, AICP certified planners that are also on their team assisting with various components of the project too. So it's not just one person. We really have like a team of 4 that's going to be working on this.
Councilmember Felker.
Yeah. I was seeing the corner of my eye. This Mr. Elam's going. He's like, I got something to say.
I was just going to say, I think the local connection is absolutely going to be maintained with this process, and if anything, it actually I think will allow more time for that local connection, because the data analysis aspect and the backbone work and the report writing, like was mentioned. Stuff that takes a lot of time, but that's a lot of just individual kind of processing time, is going to be able to be handled by folks that do that on a daily basis. So it was mentioned, we do this process once every 5 years or so, and it's an 18-month process, but still it is once every 5 years layered in with other items, and this is something that they are doing on a primary basis. So they've just got the analysis and the I will say one other thing with these reports. They are tailored to the individual communities from a needs perspective. However, the format and some of the wording and some of the other kind of details of the plan are very prescribed as to how they need to be done in order to be accepted by HUD. A couple other reasons.
Thank you. And like our city comp plan, this 5-year plan is then used to prioritize the grant money we give out every year, and we can say these needs are directly related to our 5-year plan that we have already completed. Right. Any other questions? Y'all did an amazing job. Thank you. Right, now, item C, discussion on narrow lots for small lot residential opportunities. Mr. Johnson.
Hi, Joshua Johnson, Director of Development Services. I'm just going to do a brief intro here on the concept of narrow or small lots. Basically, as I look back through the history, watched old meetings, things like that, we started this discussion in July of 2021. Councilmember Felker, I think you're the only one that has been on, well, you were on CEDC, then you were off, and now you're back on. Yeah. We went on a tour at one point of all these, and I believe you were on that tour. We visited communities, Blue Springs, some narrow lot product in Lee Summit, and then some historic neighborhoods in the KCMO neighborhood of Waldo. I want to provide some background as to kind of where we were, and that's why I mentioned that. And at some meetings, it was mentioned as like, hey, here's a tool in the toolbox, and not much discussion was done. And then at a lot of meetings, there was kind of a big deep dive. And I think what we're going to do tonight, the Deputy Director, Development Services, Amy Nassif, she's going to kind of take you on a more of a setting the table type of presentation. And then she has some kind of, I'll call them tactical suggestions as to how we could achieve this. I think at the last meeting, if I might characterize it, staff said, hey, we need some policy direction from the CEDC about which way we want to go with this. And what we are doing is trying to accomplish that policy direction with tonight's presentation. Again, Amy is going to really set the stage and kind of talk about what we're trying to accomplish with this, really. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Thank
you. I hope you all can hear me the whole time. I have 87 slides, so I'm sure we're going to get through this really easily. So, Amy Nassif, Deputy Director of Development. I'm pleased to be here tonight to start the conversation again, about with the small lots and the narrow lots, the opportunities that we have for the single-family homes. And the reason that we're here and that we had started this important discussion too a couple years ago was from our Ignite comprehensive plan with our strong neighborhoods and housing choice, a plan element that was established with the plan. And two goals came out of that were established was the one, to maintain the thriving quality neighborhoods, to connect a diversity of residents through the community, and also create and maintain a variety of housing options, styles, and price ranges. And one of the aspects of the comprehensive plan it calls out in particular is that our largest housing gap right now is what we call missing middle. And the missing middle is there's a range of housing options, and where you go from the large single family lots like estate lots, all the way to the highest density of multifamily. The missing middle is just that. It's those housing opportunities in the middle. They're smaller, the small single family residential lots, duplexes, triplexes, courtyards, or cluster style development. So tonight, the one focus area on the policies we want to be talking about is on the single family lots. So when we're talking about the single family and the missing middle opportunities or just creating that additional diversity in housing, it's just the narrow lots, but also the size of the lot in general. And so these are some pictures, some examples of smaller lots and narrower lot developments. The two on the ends are in Lee Summit, the 35-foot wide lots with around 4,000 square foot in size. And the center one's just another example of a different style on a smaller lot. Even though I don't sound like it, please feel free to stop me anytime and ask a question as I'm going along. So in addition to kind of looking at some photos and some things and looking back at the past meetings, we also dove into, well, what are people zoning to right now when they're wanting to build a single family? And Dawn and Ian on our planning team did a fabulous job with this. What we discovered like the last 5 years, a lot of folks, our highest density that you can zone right now to get single family development built is the RP3. And we have had about 208 units approved through zoning in the last 5 years under the RP3. We also allow, as you can see, with our PMIX, which is our mixed district, mixed uses, that does also allow single family too, and we had around 231 single family lots built with those. Doesn't necessarily mean that those are like the small or narrow lots. It's just those are our higher density districts that we have. And with that RP3, that is again, our highest density currently, our district that allows single family. Of those, we had around 208 single family development, and the rest of it was for duplex or triplex. So it just got us thinking, how is RP3 the highest density that we have that allows single family when we know we have other residential districts available? And so this is a snapshot of our portion of our use table for single family detached homes. And these are all the districts where it has a P there. That means it's permitted by right. P is permitted by right. Normally very loud, so tell me if you can't hear me. Okay. So the agriculture district, our rural density, our large lot, all of those through RP3 allow single family dwelling units right now. And then PMIX on the other end of the spectrum does too. And so does our neighborhood office, our transitional zone office allows it too. But the RP4 is missing. And so we started to wonder, well, that might be a really great opportunity right there for option for home builders and such to have smaller lot, narrow lot opportunity in another district. So this is a chart. You may look familiar. We included this in the staff report for you too. And this is looking at the lot width requirements and lot size. I'm getting choked up. It's so exciting. Lot width requirements and lot size requirements and density just for the single family homes. And so looking at that, you see right now, RP3 has a minimum lot width of say 50 foot, a 3,500 square foot lot size. But then we don't have a requirement in our PRO and our NFO or TNZ, for instance, but they still also allow it. They just capture the size in a different way by using the lot coverage. So again, that just got us thinking, well, possible great opportunity here to allow single family in the RP4 with a smaller lot width and smaller lot size, but establish one still, instead of leaving it open-ended. But it would give some another opportunity and give some clarity for what the requirement would be possibly. We also looked at, before we do anything, we also like to do some research, see what our neighbors and friends in other municipalities that are similar in either size or demographics or whatnot to us. And so did take a look at that. As you can see from here, Blue Springs has minimum lot size. It goes down to 35 foot with 3,000 square foot size. Chesterfield has R1 through R8. They're in the St. Louis area, but I've heard some of you folks talk about their housing or their zonings and such, so we threw in another one there with that. But they do not have a width requirement in that highest density district or a maximum density requirement. Olathe goes all the way, they allow 40-foot width, or you can even go lower with an approved PDP. And their lot sizes, again, go down about 3,000 to allow that smaller lot opportunities. Overland Park is still a little bit larger, but they've recently done their comprehensive plan, and several of their goals focus on housing. They are looking into cluster developments right now, and also small lot, narrow lot opportunities, and increasing their single family housing options for diversity housing stock as well. So we do anticipate them having another either district or cluster design come into. That was kind of the first area we looked at. And this all kind of starts to lead to the cluster development idea. Cluster developments they focus on that residential growth with also preserving the existing open space and natural space of a development. So you literally cluster the homes together so that they're closer, which provides increased diversity in the housing stock. It also reduces infrastructure costs because then you don't have as much streets that you have to maintain. There's less grading, there's less infrastructure to bring to the site because the homes are closer together and much more land is left preserved. And then also can help to increase a sense of community and that neighborhood feel. And so this is kind of an older example, but it's still used, APA and ULI. It's still a really good example. It shows the traditional kind of style. It's the same size and shape lot on the left and the right, But the traditional one is your typical, how development may come in for single-family development. And then the right shows the same area, but how you can get even higher density if you cluster the homes together. You can see you have much less grading. Roads are smaller as well. You don't have as much, piping and infrastructure, utilities to bring in, and you have a greater preservation of natural topography and open space too. And we actually do right now in our RP1 and our RP2 districts, we do allow a cluster development option in our code currently. And this is an excerpt exactly from our code. Same language is used in our RP1 as with our RP2. And this does allow reduction of lots, provided that you meet certain specific standard requirements and design standards in our code. Unfortunately, when you go to that section of our code, it leaves a little bit wanting. We do not have development and design standards for a cluster option that we kind of refer to here. So there's not clarity for a development community or the home builders on, okay, if I choose this, what do you want? What do you need? What are you looking for? Yes.
So I heard that straight. So where it says, see Article 8, there's nothing there that actually references cluster option standards? Or
Correct. The only thing it says is you should cluster trees. It doesn't really reference at all the homes or the development or architecture or design or your site layout at all.
The concept of cluster option meaning, yeah, okay,
Yes,
I got it.
yes. So it's lacking in the guidance that we want to provide people. And we haven't had folks reach out to use this option, and that's probably why. What a lot of times developers will do is they'll just ask for maybe a modification during PDP process to reduce the width or increase the density instead of seeing and realizing this as an option. So establishing this will help also close the loop on what we need to have here and also provide that guidance and help control on what we want those to look like.
Would New Longview and Arbor Walk be considered a cluster option?
They could be. They do have narrow lots and smaller lots. And they have really nice architecture and design to it. I don't know how much percentage of, say, open space and such as they approve, but they were approved through modifications through our PDP process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that kind of starts to wrap us up. And so our recommendations, and we wanted just to give an overview tonight. We have a new committee that we're pleasure working with, and wanted just to provide this kind of overview and background, set this table. Our recommendations are that we provide the option for smaller lots for single family in the RP4 district. And one thing I should mention too with the RP4, we currently allow every other type of residential dwelling in the RP4 except for single family as well. In addition to, so single family is allowed in all the lesser density and the P mix and other higher densities, but just we missed the R4. So we would recommend fleshing that out and including that, and then also developing those cluster development design standards and options for the RP1 and RP2. And what Josh was talking about earlier, when he was up here giving the summary about what happened in 2021, 2022, where that landed was around the spot of staff to come back also and talk about should we add a new district or should we look at design standards? Well, we feel like there's an opportunity we could present both. And then that would give greater flexibility also for home builders and developers as well.
Thank you. And I noticed that you didn't put, maybe you would put this in the draft language because you didn't say, you didn't reference the lot size. So that would be, I mean, I know you did it here, so just in your final comments.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yes, but it would be narrow. We would, if we were looking at this, we would like to look at developing in the R4 with a smaller lot width requirement, smaller lot size, and the density.
Is staff looking at 35 or 40, or do you want direction from the committee?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. There's pros and cons to both. And it also would play into then what we were kind of looking at that density. If you all were open to either one of those options as well, then we want to see how that we can flush that out further with the cluster development option too. So then we can have, like I said, those two options on the table. One, come straight in and do the RP4 and here's your rules. But then if someone wants to do the cluster, that's great. That could possibly be a little bit smaller in size, but then we're going to have, say, architecture requirements, green space, open space requirements, and other standards that we would want to have predetermined with that in exchange for that.
Okay.
But would love to hear what your thoughts and your direction is on either one.
So just a couple things for everybody to keep in mind. We're having this discussion. One of the primary reasons is because land is expensive. So this is just one tool we can utilize to help that attainable housing, single-family attainable housing, and try and reach that we're trying to reach. Also, we have 4,000 acres that will potentially be developed in the future, a lot of single-family. This is just another option for some of that space. So with that being said, Mr. Elam, you have anything to add to those comments or anything? I'd like to hear your all's thoughts. Commissioner Arth, you too. Thoughts, questions?
I really like the idea of us looking into this because I think it does satisfy that missing middle that we're missing. So I'm excited to hear more about it and see what you guys find out.
Councilmember Pryor.
I don't know. I'd like to hear more about it. I don't know what I think yet, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, and you still have the PDP process, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you all have anything to say? I saw you reach for the mic, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I would emphasize that PDP process. I will say at past meetings, one concern you had, Councilmember Pryor, was driveway placing, availability of on-street parking, things of that nature, and we understand those concerns, and we're going to keep those in mind as we look at this further.
And I'll say that it would be really helpful throughout this conversation here if there are things that are specific concerns that come to mind right now, specific direction on things to look into, then when we bring this item back, we can look at addressing those issues and see how those were addressed either through design standards or the lot width or anything like that. And if it's if we can identify where those challenges are, then we can have a conversation around those challenges and potential solutions.
And even if it's something that you don't think is a problem, but you just want to learn more about it too. Like if you just would like to see more pictures of examples, or if you're just interested in what architecture, building materials may look like with or anything like that, or what the open space requirements would be for a cluster, just whatever's on your mind will help give us guidance and we can dive into next time.
Councilmember Pryor, you had something.
Thank you. So the on-street parking, of course, is still a concern. But, so I just want to be, does this at all incorporate like infill, or this is just completely separate and it won't, like infill and this don't necessarily overlap?
That's a great question. Yes and no. So absolutely, when you have infill development, that really is just saying you have a really small, piece of property and it's already built out all around you. So definitely, if there's an opportunity for smaller lots and narrower lots, that might open up more possibilities for that vacant property or that property that needs to be redeveloped to be able to do so.
So would this be like an already existing neighborhood? Would this be like an overlay and then, or?
No, so the RP4 would work exactly the same way as RP3, RP2, and RP1. Exact same process with the PDP, brand new rezoning coming in before you for you all to review the PDP with that rezoning and that ordinance that goes public hearing through City Council. Same as any residential development you have right now.
Okay, so if someone, like if a developer wanted to do RP4 and we did RP4, could they do a mix of really RP1 and, really R1 and RP4? Could they just do like a mixed neighborhood completely?
Well, so they could do a mixed district, or like right now, if someone were to come in with an RP2 district, that lot width is minimum, it's not maximum. And the lot size in, say, the RP2 is a minimum, not a max. So you could have someone come in right now in zone R2, RP2, and have the majority of their lots be the 4,000 square foot, and have several that are above that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a really good question, and I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for developers to build neighborhoods where you can spend your life and, transition to different houses as you need them. Mr. Johnson?
Said that almost exact statement in a past meeting of, hey, we want to have a neighborhood where you can transition to different forms of housing. One thing, and he didn't mention this, but I think it's one thing we want to think about is universal design requirements and something like that. And I'm seeing kind of one of those things in my head with the money coming off of it, but to your point, aging in place type of concepts, I think with this type of housing are very complementary.
Absolutely, the multi-generational opportunities for multi-generational housing where you can have in the same subdivision, a large 2-story home with very close by a smaller, narrow lot.
Patio home or something.
Exactly, courtyard homes as well.
All right, Councilmember Felker.
Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate this conversation. I'll just say, even learning, I will take, and I'm to speak for myself, I am learning every time you all come to me with what we do here in terms of zoning, meaning this is, and I think the fact that you look at other municipalities and there's no uniform way of describing zoning, RP, SP3, whatever, tells me, just as a reminder, this is a foreign language to those who don't actually walk in it every day, like more often you. So I appreciate this kind of illustration, for instance, helping me better understand. I think it gives better context and better, when you're sitting in here in the seat and the words are coming at you, you have to compute it and then come up with what you think about it at the same time, and that's challenging. So this is, I think, helpful education, frankly. I actually think when I came in at because I was elected during the whole COVID thing, I don't think I was ever trained on zoning. That's not to say anything I should have or whatever, but so this is super helpful. So I'll say that, number one. Number two, in the other part of the packet, there was the staff letter or staff report. And in there is the kind of a different way of looking or clumping the housing together. Residential 1, 2, and 3 is the way you describe it. And I just think this is a really helpful way of also describing this. Large lot, residential 2, and then that's where you go through that missing middle. I also found it informative, because I don't know that I've looking recently at comparing the comp plan with our current percentages. I think I've always seen where the residential percentage was, which I think we were above 70 not that long ago, and now we're just at 6. But what this says to me is that our focus should really be what we're talking about right now. If our objective is to get to the comp plan percentages, 5% for this objective of 20. On the other hand, our multifamily, we're at 25% when our objective per this is 15%. So again, so I look at this as helpful to both inform our discussion now. I think this is good focus and gets us in that direction. Yeah, so just kind of
No, it's good. And that, so the residential mixes, and so I appreciate that feedback. The residential mixes of the 1, 2, and 3, those are categories that come out of one of our goals and our action areas from our dashboard, from our comprehensive plan. And it's a little bit different than the zoning, just as you pointed out. What we had reported on and how it originally came about was based on building permit issuance. And actually, we're working on refining some of those numbers too. We're still pretty low in the residential 2 category, which right now at 5.4%, which is I think around 2,300 units. But that's the residential 2 category is this missing middle we're talking about, courtyard style, but it also includes duplexes, triplexes. We were discovering that some of the past numbers might have included the triplexes in that high-density R3 multifamily count, when really it was more so, I think, aimed at focusing on the traditional apartment style. So those numbers are going to shift a little bit too, but still, we're projecting we're still pretty low. We're not hitting the middle category yet.
25.5%, which is could be lesser, and the 5.4 could be higher based on shifting some of the prior analysis.
Correct, and how the comp plan was was looking at categorizing it. So.
Does he have anything to add at this point? Okay. Do you have a question? Okay. So I think you've got some good direction. You know, talking about parking, I can see some of these being built up. So you have a driveway going into a garage, maybe a single driveway into a garage, and then all the living space, or a lot of it's upstairs. That totally blows your universal design, but that could still be one floor plan to get around the parking issue.
And that's some of the architectural styles that you all saw when you went on your tour. I think
Most of us didn't go on that.
Yeah. Well, I have photos. I have photos of some of the subdivisions that you toured, and now they're fully built. So we can bring that back too for you if you like.
Okay, Councilmember Felker.
Sorry, because you may have just said this, and I had a quick moment of distraction, but I think maybe what we're talking about is just like, what does this look like? And where places we can go to, which would be going down to Arbor Walk is probably a good example. I guess the idea is it'd be nice to say, oh, that's a 40-foot lot, that's a 30-foot lot, so that we could kind of say, well, I don't like 30-foot, or I don't like 35-foot, or I do. I don't know if we all want to show up at the same house. We can give us an address, and we'll all just...
That would be a little creepy.
I can see the number here, 924.
I have the other pictures.
Yeah, Councilmember Pryor, do you have something?
Would you like to see the picture? I took some, since I didn't get to go on the tour either.
Oh, sure.
I took, one of the locations was Edgewater and Blue Springs that you all went to.
Oh, yeah.
And so these are narrow. I haven't measured yet. I think they're very narrow, like they're 30, 35-foot lots. And they're moving very, very quickly. And so these are just 2 examples. There was a lot. This development that you all toured was really neat because every single house had its own kind of personality and character to it. It wasn't just a bunch of the same exact styles. There was different colors and things too. But I just tried, I don't know why this one turned out this way. I was driving while doing this, so probably not a good idea. But these are just some examples of places and the architecture that you can require too that really provide some nice perception to it and different.
What neighborhood did you say those are?
Edgewater. It's
Okay.
off 7 Highway in Blue Springs, and 8th Street where you all had went.
Councilmember Pryor, do you have something to add?
Thank you. Is that one, well, I don't know if this is called Edgewater. I thought it was Lake Lotawana address, but it's right there as you're going onto 7 from 50 Highway? No. Is that like the beginning?
That's, I think, the same builder. There's a Clover and Hives doing a lot in that area. And
Those
they're doing a
houses look
lot with
like this,
narrow
though.
lots down there too. Pardon me?
They look a lot, the houses look a lot
Yeah.
like this. So that is, do you know how wide those are? Just
No,
because
but
I've seen those, so I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think they're around the same 35, 40-foot max, but we can find out for you for sure.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And is that a Lee Summit address or is that Lake Lotawana?
These are Blue Springs address.
No, the one that's off
oh.
of, that might be Lee Summit, right?
That one.
50 and 7?
50 and 7.
South of 50?
Oh, I don't know. Like, okay, so you go right on 7, and then you go down a little bit, like that gas station's right here, and the commuter parking, and then you go left.
It's Clover and
No.
Hive. It's right at the edge of
Then you go
town.
left, like over to a neighborhood.
You lost me. It's 50 and 7 is not Lee
Yeah,
Summit.
but it's
50
not.
and 7 is Blue. I'm
Well,
pretty-
okay, but it's Lee
yeah.
Summit. It's Lee Summit schools.
It's Lee Summit School
Lee
District
Summit
possibly,
schools.
but I think it's Blue Springs. think
I
it's
thought it
Blue
was a Lake
Springs.
Lotawana address,
Maybe Lake
but
Lotawana.
yeah.
We'll find out for you
Okay,
too.
yeah.
But it's all Clover
I've
and
seen
Hive.
it, so that's, yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so you have, it sounds like you have positive direction from the committee members to move forward. Does that sound like what you heard?
That is exactly what I heard. We'll come forward with some ordinance for you, with some ideas for cluster development, fleshing that out, and also in the R4 and what that would look like, and then some other pictures and more detailed examples with the lot widths and sizes of some of these.
That'd be great. And for the committee members, Mr. Johnson recommended a book to me last year called The Missing Middle. And I bought a copy, and it's in our office. It's on the bookshelves, and it's got a lot of pictures of different types of middle housing. So that's a good book. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bushwick, write it.
Roundtable from the committee. You all have anything? Nope. Roundtable from staff. You all have anything? Nope. All right. I guess we adjourn this meeting at about 5:56. Thank you.